I keep falling, never falling 6 feet deep. For real, G, I'ma fulfill my dream. The mind activation, react like I'm facing time. Like for real, G, I'ma fulfill my dream. I keep falling, never falling 6 feet deep. For real, G, I'ma fulfill my dream. The mind activation, react like I'm facing time. Like for real, G, I'ma fulfill my dream.
Yeah, fuck your handouts, we here to stand out. Told mama your youngest child got a plan, damn. God's will, I'm about to shine now. No chill, I rush in like Blau. Hit you with that ill style, no deny. Since a youngin' marching to my own beat. Never frontin', kept a lawyer, overcoming the heat. Dedicated since the soil, learned to walk on my feet. Doctor said I'd have my limits, I accept no defeat.
This Slade Sports Squad and Rocky Mountain Sports Report Denver Broncos pregame show is sponsored by Cajun 180 Seasonings. Straight from the heart of Cajun country in South Louisiana, these blends and seasonings contain no MSG, no iodine, no fillers, and are certified Cajun. They are non-GMO and they are wheat and gluten-free. With a few easy clicks, you can learn more about how these authentic Cajun blends could enhance your cooking in the kitchen. Follow them at Cajun 180 on Facebook and Instagram. From an all-purpose seasoning to a seafood boil and everything in between, Cajun 180 is sure to have a flavor for you. Check out their full lineup of clean, healthy products today at Cajun180.com. I personally use the Cajun 180 products in my kitchen on a regular basis, and I stand behind these products. On game day, we all want a winner on our side, so you might as well have a winner in the kitchen as well. Cajun 180 products are award-winning championship blends. So head on over to the Cajun 180 website and use promo code SLADE180 to receive a discount. Hey, good morning, Bronco Country. I'm David, and I got Alex here with me.
What is going on?
We're going to talk about the Denver Bronco pregame show. It looks like Alex had a little technical difficulty and popped off, so hopefully he'll pop right back on. Go ahead and shoot us your questions, your comments, predictions of today's game. We're going to talk about the Broncos, Miami Dolphins. We got a lot to talk about in this next hour, so join us and let's see. It looks like Alex is trying to pop back in. Let's see. All right. Do we have you, Alex?
Got you. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties do happen sometimes.
That's right.
Nice to join you this morning, Dad. I appreciate you having me again. It's always good to do these shows here on Sunday morning, so I'm glad to be here. So,
all right, we're gonna dive right into it. The big thing. Let's talk about quarterbacks. Everybody knows Drew Lock has been struggling. We got injuries on the team. Offensive line is struggling. Lots of things, that are impacting Drew Lock's play. As you can see, we got the stats rolling across the bottom. Lock completes 55% of his passes, almost 1,500 yards, 7 TDs, 10 interceptions. And then there's Tua, 63% of his passes, 5 TDs, 0 touchdowns. So, and that's going to be a big thing. Locke has struggled. He showed at times, he can really, make the plays, but I think his arm gets him in trouble at times. He throws the ball downfield. I think he's overconfident in his arm strength. He throws the ball downfield in the double and triple coverage, and he seems to lock onto that deep target, and won't get off it and won't check down. And we've talked about this before. We talked about it last week going into the Raiders game. That's some of the things that we needed to take care of. So, but anybody out there, shoot us some questions or comments, and let's see what's going on. Well, Alex, what's your opinion on Drew Lock?
So let me tell you this. Drew Lock does have a lot of things going for him, I think. I think he is an athletic young man. I think he has the talent to be a good quarterback in this league. But there are some things like that we have seen that are very troubling to see from your young quarterback. And one of the main things that I see from him that I do not care for in Slade is mechanics. The fact that a lot of the times you'll see him do, I don't know exactly a technical term for it, but where he's, usually you see a quarterback and feet are teed up to the line of scrimmage. So their front foot is going to be facing the line of scrimmage. A lot of times when you see Drew Lock make that throws, it's because he's standing with his hips parallel to the line of scrimmage, which is not okay. You never want to throw the ball like that, especially because you're going to lose a lot of velocity on your football. It's going to screw up the accuracy on the throw. You just can't do as much, and you can't be as accurate if you're throwing like that. Now, am I saying that you never do that? No, because I've seen quarterbacks make it work, but they only make it work when it's their last resort. So for me, I would like to see Drew Lock, as long as we can see him start to follow his mechanics and do what he needs to do, in that aspect of the game, with his throwing motion, his hips, his footwork. I just need to see constant improvement. And like you've been saying for the last couple of weeks, we're not seeing that on a week-to-week basis. So in my opinion, I think Drew Lock is failing, but that's not to say he can't come back. He can't make his career, he can't rectify his career and become a good quarterback. I think that at the end of the day, I think he has the talent, and I think that he can be a good quarterback. But right now, he has, like you said, we have the offensive line issues. His mechanics are an issue, and I also think that the play calling is not working necessarily in his favor. I think Pat Shurmur needs to kind of, at this moment, because it seems like Drew Lock isn't fully capable of handling the mental part of the football game, we kind of need to make it like dummy football, how to play football for dummies.
Right.
So, you can't expect a second-year guy who's never been in a pro system, who's had two different offensive coordinators to, just suddenly have an outburst.
Okay, you're breaking up on us there, Alex. I'm gonna disconnect you right now. If you want to go ahead and try to get back into the thing, let's see if this can help. So as Alex was saying, Drew Lock definitely is. Here we go. Drew Lock projected stat line by the Rocky Mountain Sports Report is 18 to 36, 226 yards, 1 TD, and 1 interception. What's your guys' thoughts on that? In my opinion, he has to have a better game than that. He can't complete 50% of his passes. If you ask me, and it looks like we got Alex back. Hopefully his connection's a little bit better. So, but Alex, I got this projection by the Rocky Mountain Sports Report is saying that Drew Lock will be 18 to 36, 226 yards, 1 TD, and 1 interception. What's your thoughts on it? My opinion is 36 is way too many. We can't throw that many. We got to run the ball.
Well, it's better than throwing the ball 47 times, so I can live with 36. So, I think you hit it right on the head. That's too many times throwing the ball. I think it should look something more like 18 of 25, right around that number. If we get into the 30s, that's fine, but 36 is pushing it. So, I do believe that that's a doable game for Drew Lock, and if he plays like that and he can, minus the interception, I think that would be an overall okay game for Drew Lock, better than it has been. So, and that's what I was trying to get to before we had some more technical difficulties, was basically that, I just want to see improvement. I just want to see the guy that we've invested all this time in just get better. He doesn't have to be a Hall of Fame quarterback next week, but I need him to consistently try and get better every day, So that's my biggest thing for Drew Lock.
And I agree 100%. I mean, I've been pretty vocal about Drew Lock the last couple of weeks, I've always been a big supporter of Drew Lock. However, he's not showing any progression from week to week, and,
Right.
and
Well,
some of the. Go ahead.
Well, and the only thing I can say to that, the only reason I can say that he might not be showing any progression week to week is because of the other problems that we have on the offense. One, again, with the offensive coordinator, Pat Shermer, and our offensive line issues. The fact that we've had probably 4 or 5 different combinations of offensive linemen in the, 11 weeks that we've played or 9 weeks that we played. It's a lot for a second year quarterback to handle, and I understand why it's hard for him. And we overall as an offense, I think we just need to get better. And I know that's easier said than done, but it comes down to pure execution and the talent we have on the field. So
This is a good fun fact right here. Drew Lock has only one game this season where he has thrown under 30 passing attempts, and if you ask me, that is poor game planning. You got a young quarterback who's struggling. You need to get the running game established, and you need to stick with it. We got some good running backs. We got Philip Lindsay, and then we have Melvin Gordon. And let's use these guys.
Right.
We're getting
small in very small portions. We've even seen Royce Freeman, but I just think that at the end of the day, we can't put our whole offense on a second year quarterback. Philip Lindsay has been reliable for us, has done nothing but show us that he should be one of our running backs. Now, do I believe in the whole 2 running back system here? Yeah, with Melvin Gordon, because I think that Lindsay is not a good pass blocker. He's not a good pass catcher, but Melvin Gordon is a little better suited in those areas. And I think that we can make it work with both of them. But it like I said before, it comes down to the game plan. It comes down to what the offensive coordinator wants to run.
Yeah.
And with, the way Pat Shermer has been calling the game, it just seems like he doesn't want Drew Lock to succeed. So,
and I would hope. I don't think that's the case. It's just his MO. That's the way he usually calls games, and I would like to see us run more on first down. And let's put ourselves in positive situations. So. Instead, we got, we're throwing on first down, and sometimes they're deeper passes, and we're not hitting the completions. If we're going to throw on first down, let's use more of the screen game or short passes and things like that as sort of an extension of our running game. Right. And let's get some positive yardage on first down, because if we go into second down, and it's 2nd and 10 or more, that's just putting Drew Lock in bad positions. And right. I don't think that, and we're getting more technical difficulties on your end, Alex. We're getting a lot of crackling and feedback. So I'm going to drop you off really quick. I don't know where it's coming from.
Is that better?
There we go. That works perfect. So, all right. Alex fixed it, so we don't have to throw him off the show. So, but I think we need to help Lock out with the game planning, and let's not keep him. Let's not keep him in bad situations by 2nd and long, 3rd and long. Let's try to help him out and get some positive yards. We have a question here. Did Denver overpay Melvin Gordon? $8 million a year.
Well, at this moment, yes, because we're not using him.
Right, and I agree. And we're not using it properly, but $8 million for a running back anymore is a lot of money. So,
well, yeah, especially with the league that this has turned into. It's a passing league. It's flashy, a lot of speed. and running backs just haven't been as versatile and as, big of a threat really since the last guy I can really remember is Adrian Peterson. So, but now we've got running backs that can do it all too, who can catch the football out of the backfield, who can, block really well. It's just a different kind of football that we're experiencing now. And the running back isn't just, he's not as big of a workhorse, I don't believe, in my eyes. So paying $8 million for Melvin Gordon, if we could use him in the right scheme and get him the touches that he should get with the running back that he has proven to be in the league with the Chargers, and then, coming here and kind of being a disappointment just because, once again, I think it goes back to the play calling. At the end of the day, I think that we're not doing what we need to in the booth, and it just doesn't seem like Pat Shurmur is really dedicated to using all his assets. So,
No, and I agree. The play calling has been suspect. So, anybody out there listening, if you got a prediction for today's game, go ahead and shoot it to us. We'll go ahead and pop it up on the screen. So now when Denver has the ball, Miami, uses a very aggressive style defense. They generally put, 7 people up around the line of scrimmage, and they'll bring any number of those 7 people after the quarterback. So how do you think that's going to impact someone like Drew Lock, who's been struggling with his pre-snap reads anyway? I mean, and how do we possibly counteract that?
Well, something that, I would do in this situation if I was Pat Shurmur calling the plays, I would come out in one formation and then shift, move people around, try and, get those defensive players to kind of give away what they're doing, kind of make them show you whether they're going to sit in a zone and blitz or if they're going to play man-to-man and blitz, whatever their scheme might be today. We've got to get out there. We've got to try and get Drew Lock easy reads. That way he can get his momentum going early. And another thing that we can do to counteract blitzing a lot is running the football, because when you blitz, you're running the risk of disrupting those lanes. And if one person misses an assignment or misses a tackle on those blitz, that's where you see Phillip Lindsay take it to, his next level and, get to the safeties or the linebackers, whatever it may be. So I think running the ball is going to be a huge, huge thing today. And if we can do that successfully, I don't see why this scored at the bottom saying 24-13 would be a realistic expectation. So I think Denver could win this football game.
And we'll get into our predictions at the end of the show. But Rocky Mountain Sports Report here says Miami 24, Denver 13. We got another one, Facebook user. Sorry, guys, but Dolphins slammed the Broncos today. I have Miami. We have another one, Miami 27, Denver 14. It's gotten to the point where, it's so bad here with the Broncos that even the Denver faithful, they're not picking Denver to win.
Well, it's just hard to believe in this football team right now. I think that we have, at the beginning, it kind of seemed hopeful. Then, that we've had, this has just been a weird season too, with COVID, not having, not spring training, OTAs and all that good stuff. Sorry, completely slipped my mind right now.
No preseason, but and every team. I mean, and that sort of discourages me when Bronco fans use that excuse, because every team dealt with it. Everybody's playing on a level playing field. So
but not everybody has a second-year quarterback who doesn't have an identity in this league. So Tom Brady's sitting over there, didn't have a preseason. That's fine, because he's been through 17 other ones. So
right. So on topic of running backs, is it too early to consider Royce Freeman a bust? We've seen him fall down on the depth chart in recent weeks. And myself, I was actually surprised that Royce Freeman was on this roster. I didn't think Royce Freeman would make the team, and I think if we probably had a normal off season, with OTAs, preseason, everything else, and it gave somebody else a chance to shine, I think that Royce Freeman probably would have probably not made the team.
I agree.
But he's come in and he's made some good plays and stuff like that. But he's always been inconsistent his whole career. And I think that's what plagued him. And it's sort of like with Devontae Booker. He was inconsistent.
Well, until he went to the Raiders, and now he's
right.
some baller, right?
Well, and he had one good game. I mean, and we're gonna blame a lot of that on the Denver Broncos defense. Who the last 3 or 4 weeks since Shelby Harris has gone out, and other personnel, Purcell went out. We've really, really struggled stopping the run. We gave up 200 yards, almost 200 yards to the Raiders last week. And we can't do that with the Dolphins. We cannot let them. We need to put them in situations where Tua is going to have to, drop back and pass, and being in longer situations. And we're going to have to find ways to confuse him, But he's looked very, very poised, very comfortable. And that's something that we need to we need to be able to confuse him and take him out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm not completely sold on Tua yet, just because of the fact that not many people know his strengths and his weaknesses. In the NFL, he has played good through the first few games of his career, but it's kind of reminding me of Drew Lock last year when he started, and he went on that what was it, like a 5-game winning streak or something like that to end the season, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but the game in Houston, stuff like that. It's just kind of very Drew Lock-esque to me, and until I see him play a full season behind that offensive line in Miami, I'm not going to be completely sold. So, and I don't think anybody should praise Tua too much right now. I do understand he's playing great, and the Dolphins haven't had that in quite a while. So I am excited for that. I guess I would be excited if I was a Dolphins fan, but I think they kind of need to take a step back at the end of the day and realize that he's only a couple games in, and once people, it's going to be tougher.
I mean, he's played 4 games, and he's played well though, and it's sort of frustrating to see someone come in, and they hit the ground running, and then we have Locke who struggled. I mean, and we've seen it around the league. We got Herbert with the Chargers who's doing good. Of course, the Chargers aren't, getting the wins, but Herbert is playing very good. We also have Burrow, who's playing well in Cincinnati. You have Tua in Miami, so it is sort of frustrating. We got a couple comments we're going to run through. Alex dropped off again. He's coming back in. There we go. Alex is back. We got some comments we're gonna run through really quick, Alex. So looks like the comments are starting to pour in. So I'm gonna try to keep up with this. Tua is smart for that and understands pressure, and that is one thing that Tua is good at doing. He's good at using his legs and avoiding pressure, getting, and putting himself in good situations, and he's a threat running the ball. Got another one here. Cannot have more than 30 pass attempts, and I think this is referring to Drew Lock, and I agree 100%. And you said it earlier, 25 has to be the max. We have to pound the ball. We have to run the ball. We have to establish the running game, to slow down this Miami aggressive blitzing type defense.
Right.
And Miami blitzes, but they don't get a lot of sacks. But their thing is they're really out there to cause confusion. And that's what they want to do. They want to create chaos and confusion, which turns into turnovers. And we saw what happened last week. Yeah. And we saw what happened last week, 4 interceptions against the Raiders. So we can't have a repeat performance of that. So, Ricky Newell, did we do anything to try and make the right side of the O-line play better? I think it's going to get a little better this week. Dotson's going to be back. So we were basically down to our fourth stringer with Calvin Anderson last week, Glasgow, hopefully he's going to play a little bit better. Looks like Rocky Mountain Sports Report came in and said we activated Wilkerson off the IR.
Hopefully he can come into this hurt offensive line group and give us a spark or something.
I think since Dotson came in, we were better on the right tackle position anyway than with Wilkerson. So hopefully the Broncos continue to stay with Dotson, in my opinion. Only thing Mile High is going to affect is thin air. So and yeah, it's not going to affect much. I mean, you're going to have 5,700 fans today. So no fan base in the stands. Yeah, this is the last game with fans, and then the rest of the season is empty. So
wow.
Right here, yeah, Rocky Mountain Sports Report is saying the same thing. Dotson is starting today. Wilkerson was also activated from the injured reserve. Ricky says, good to hear. Feel like that we should help lock a lot in the left side of the line. That right side looked like Swiss cheese last week, and it did. I mean, Calvin Anderson. And the pressure is coming from the middle. We have a young interior with Cushenberry at center. We got Reisner at left guard, and it's only his second season, and they're struggling. And I look for Miami to try to bring that pressure up the middle. And we're going to have to. Here's how and let me know your opinion. Here's how I would attack that. I would not get into these spread offenses against this. You need to keep.
You're going to have to.
You need to have some. Yeah, and bring a running back in there. To help with some of these blitzes and help pick this stuff up. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that we should do anything and everything that we can do to protect Drew Lock. Last week we saw him get hit a lot against the Raiders, and I don't think it was good for him. You saw him at the end, and even going into this week, there was questions about him starting, whether Rippin was going to start or he was going to start. Still, I mean, I don't know if you've heard anything on that, but I'm pretty sure Drew Lock will be getting the start today. But anything that we can do to help Drew Lock stay protected in that pocket, we need to do it. And if that's having a running back in there like Melvin Gordon or Royce Freeman before Philip Lindsay, because nobody needs to be blocking, or Philip Lindsay does not need to be blocking anybody. I don't think. I think Philip Lindsay is strictly our running back, and we got to use Royce Freeman and Melvin Gordon to help Drew Lock out in the pocket. And then, like I said, 2 tight end formations. We're going to need to do something like that, because there's no way that the way that this line has been playing, that Drew Lock will stand another game like Oakland. So,
no, or Las Vegas. You did the same thing I did last week. Last week I slipped with the Oakland.
They're always going to be the Oakland Raiders, man. I know they moved to Vegas, but what
I agree. Yeah, here's a good comment by Ricky Newell. Hoping Lindsay gets a lot of action. He says he doesn't want to get his hopes up, and it doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to me either. Last week, 4 touches for Lindsay Phillips. We got to get him more involved in the game than that.
Yeah.
I think he's a vital part of our rushing attack, and Lindsay Phillip is the kind of guy who needs the ball to get comfortable. So
you're calling him Lindsay Phillip. It's Philip Lindsay.
I'm sorry. I do that all the time, and it's because I got a daughter named Lindsay. Yeah, so Philip Lindsay. I'm sorry, everyone.
No, it's all good. But I agree. I think that we got it. It's for him to only have 4 carries last week is unacceptable. Again, that's just bad play calling. And I'll say it again and again until I'm blue in the face. But this dude needs to understand who he has on his team. And when you have a young team like we do here in Denver, and you're struggling to find an identity, and your quarterback is struggling, and you have a running back that has been consistent through and through, like since day one, As an unrestricted free agent, Philip Lindsay has came in here and gave it 110%.
Yeah.
And you can't give him more than 4 touches in a game. That's ridiculous to me, and I don't understand either. So Ricky's got a point,
Right.
and just it baffles me. So
Right. So here's a question here. Who's the other active tight end other than Fant? We got Vanette, who is active today, and we also have Troy Fumagalli is going to be active as well. So Fant is questionable today.
and then also Vanette should be on the active roster as well.
Yeah, I believe I said him. So I said him
Oh, did
before
you? I'm sorry.
Fumagalli. Yeah. So, but Fant is questionable today, even though Fangio has said that more than likely Fant is gonna play, but I think he's a little banged up. Ricky came back and he said, "I can't agree more. They say Gordon is better all around, but I think I only saw Gordon chip a guy once." Yeah, and that's the thing. Gordon is supposed to be the better pass blocker, but I think in general our running backs have struggled with pass blocking this year.
Mhm.
So and that has led to a lot of sacks and pressures and hurries and unnecessary hits on our quarterback.
But you know what that
Um,
comes back to, though, right?
What's
Bad
that?
play calling. It's bad play calling. You're putting your guys in bad positions, and they're not going to succeed like that. No matter what. At the end of the day, you can't expect your guys to bend over backwards and do
Right.
something impossible. So I don't know.
Here's a good humorous post here. Isn't Fumagalli a type of pasta? So,
Can I guess who wrote that? Because I think I know. I think I really know.
I know who it is. You know who it is.
Yep.
Come on, it's Sean Slade.
Yep.
Only Sean Slade would come up with a comment like
That's
that.
what we need to do. We need to get a game on this show where we can, people comment under, just Facebook user, and we have to guess. So
Right. So, here's a reminder: Rocky Mountain Sports Report and Slade Sports Squad will be hosting a halftime breakdown show today. So myself and Matt Staffiero will host that halftime show. So let's get back to what we need to do to win this game.
okay.
So my opinion, first thing that we have to do is we have to run the football. We have to establish the run. We only had 19 carries in the Raiders game, and that's not going to cut it. We need to be up around 25. 19 carries, 47 pass attempts. That's just not balanced at all. And I know towards the end of the game we got down and we were just chucking the ball around and trying to come up. But even to that point, it seemed like it was a little the mixture was off. And I think Shermer needs to do a better job of calling plays, setting the team up for success. And it just sort of seems like we're not right now. So we got this one here. You guys can talk about roster being bad all day, but the coaching staff needs a huge change as well. And that is a huge problem.
I don't think the roster is bad at all. I mean, I think we have talent on this team. I don't think that we have all the most talented players in the league by any means, but we have an abundance of talent on this team. And I think that coaching staff needs to change. I think the biggest problem here is we have a head coach, or we have a defensive coordinator as our head coach, who can't seem to learn the basics of football and call timeouts at the correct places and ask the right questions to the officials. So I think he's in the wrong position for sure. And then I think that with Pat Shermer and Drew Lock on the offensive coordinator side, I think that it's just a time thing. I think eventually, if you give these two time together, they will mold a relationship and they will find a way to get them both into good positions, with the play calling being the way it is right now and the personnel that we do and don't have. I think that it's just a little shaky at this moment. I think Shermer can be a good offensive coordinator, and I think Drew Lock can be a good quarterback. It's just it's got to come down to better execution and better play calling. So
No, and I agree. And yeah, we've been bitten by the injury bug, but a lot of teams around the NFL have this year, and I think that has a lot to do with conditioning and things like that. But
Well, and then,
yeah,
like we said earlier, it comes down to the fact that none of us had a preseason. So
right.
people don't realize what you have until it's gone, and that preseason was gone, and it's affected a lot of teams. So
Yeah. Here's another question from Ricky. What about special teams? What can we expect today, or do I dare ask? And our special teams
that's a
have
bold
been a
question.
disaster. That is, and our special teams have been a disaster. You know,
Yep.
and all
Now, well,
year. Uh,
I saw that Ricky was the one who asked a question earlier about coaching changes and stuff like that. I do firmly believe that this position, this coaching staff position, should be vacated, and someone else who actually knows how to play football should come in. So,
well, yeah, and you know what? I'm not going to put all of it on the coach because when you're on special teams, you got specific assignments and you have to do them. You know, you got lanes. You know, you played football. You have lanes. You have to fill them.
yep.
You can't wander on special teams. You got things you need to do. Um, so, and if a couple people get out of their assignments, that spells disaster. So, and
Especially when
I
you go
agree with
against talented punt returners, like, especially like the ones we have in the AFC West, like Tyreek Hill,
yeah.
a few
Renfro
other
with
ones.
the Raiders, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough. You know, you can't make these mental mistakes on special teams. The only positive we have on our special teams, it seems, is um, McManus, and that's it. You know, other than that, you know, Martin's
Well,
been
yeah, and we've
inconsistent
had
with
in the
his
last weeks
punting.
we've had conversations. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, because you know, mentioned McManus. We do have McManus, but if Fangio keeps doing the things he's doing to McManus, we won't for long. No player who's been consistent and as good as McManus has been is going to stick around for someone like Fangio who doesn't appreciate the talent that he has at a
And
consistent
and, and
level.
the
So,
right, and the good thing is, you know, if McManus just signed a new contract, so I think he'll probably be around for a while. Ricky again says, "Yep, the bad coaching is what made me think of that." We have talked about how terrible the offense is, but look at the positions they had last week, and that is a good
well,
example.
yeah,
I
our
mean, we
first three
made
drives started within the 5 yard line.
right.
That's,
We had some horrible special teams decisions, and so we can't make those mistakes. You know, special teams does not play a super lot of plays in a game, so you need to take advantage of them when you get them. So
right. And when you're on the field, you have to do your job. You have to be better because at the end of the day, like you said, you are given very limited opportunities to be on the field as a special teams player. But when you are, they either make or break you because special teams touchdowns are huge. They give
right,
they give teams momentum. They give people good field position. You could be in field goal range from your first snap on offense. It's just there's too many things, too many good things that can happen on special teams, and too many bad things if you're on the receiving end of those good things. So,
right. So uh, Dennis R says his prediction for the game is McManus will be the MVP, and I hope so. I wouldn't care if we won the game with 7 field goals. You know, as long as we
yeah,
get a
as long
W,
as we can
I don't
win.
care how it comes.
Well, and at this point in the season, I'm already calling McManus the MVP of this team because he's, like I said, he's the only one who's been consistent. So,
No, and I agree with you. He is the only one who's been consistent.
and I hate to keep bashing these Broncos, man, because as you know, I'm a diehard fan. I love the Broncos. I want to see them win every Sunday. But I'm not going to sit here and feed you guys lies and tell you that I think that we're going to win every Sunday because As of late, it hasn't been that way. We haven't looked good in the last 4 or 5 seasons. So we just lost our winning culture here, and I think it's going to be a struggle to get it back. So,
And that is a huge thing. It looks like we have lost that winning culture, and that's a hard thing to get back when it starts to become a distraction in the locker room. Offense underperforms, the defense starts to get irritated, frustrated, things like that. Tempers start to flare. Let's look here. Should we be talking about Flores for Coach of the Year, John Campbell?
what are your thoughts, David?
Here's another one. Serious questions comment from Sean. All fans sound like a broken record, but it's become a QB revolving door around here. Losing breeds impatience. I too think that GM needs to be replaced. Get Coobs and Wade back here. I agree that this whole culture, I think, is starting at the top. And I'm not saying that Elway wants to lose.
No, I don't think he's lost without Pat Bowlen around. So
right. So, but it's just like there's a whole different culture around this team since Pat Bowlen, passed away, and there's really been this ownership chaos, and there's been bad drafts, there's been bad coaching hires that we're really struggling, and I would like to see a true GM come in, someone who's been successful somewhere else, to come in and take over this team and help to build it. Get us a young offensive-minded coach in here,
Yeah.
And heck, if you can, get Wade Phillips back as our defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So
another thing I think that we kind of need to address here in Denver is that we have a problem first. It's kind of like how when people go into rehab and stuff like that, they say the first step is admitting you have a problem. So here in Denver, we're not admitting that we have a problem. We're not owning up to the fact that we're in a rebuilding phase, and we keep doing all these rash movements that maybe could work, but in the end, it's kind of a gamble. And I believe that it's just we're shooting ourselves in the foot at this point. And I think that if we were to come out and we were to say, hey, we're not a good football team, we're kind of in a lost spot right now, and we need to find our way back to winning football games.
right.
Then at least everybody would have a realistic expectation what they can expect from this Denver Broncos football team. And we could come in with the intention to fix what needs to be fixed. So I think the first step is going to be admitting that we need to rebuild this.
Yeah, and I think the fans have come to that realization. It's the organization that has to come to that realization and not sit there and think that we're only a player or two away from being, Super Bowl contenders, because I don't think that we are, and it's going to take a while.
There's no way. We're at least half a roster.
Yeah, but
away from
Ricky has a great comment here. It sucks to be negative, but what sucks more is to get your hopes up only to get our butts kicked. And that is great, Ricky. That's a good insight there. Here's another good comment. The Broncos have been headless horsemen since Mr. Bowlen stepped away. Culture starts at the top, and I agree 100%. That is where culture starts, and Pat Bowlen always had a winning culture on and off the field, and that was his number one priority. And guess what? We don't have that anymore. That is gone. So,
and it's crazy for me being 26 years old, and I was real little when we won our first 2 Super Bowls here with Elway, and seeing Super Bowl 50, and that was 2015. So 5 years ago, we're winning Super Bowls, and somehow now we're at the bottom of the league. It just doesn't make sense,
right? Yeah, Denver.
It's a barn fire. That's all it is.
Yeah,
it's a barn fire.
It definitely is. Ricky says the only person to be willing to have replace Elway is Peyton Manning.
I've
I,
been
I
saying
would
that
like
for
to
a
get
month now.
I would like to give Peyton a shot. I think Peyton is a very good football mind, but also would proceed with caution because we've seen other great quarterbacks try this GM role. Dan Marino tried it in Miami. It didn't work out. John Elway's struggling here in Denver. So that's why I'm sort of leaning towards I would like to really bring in someone who's done this, someone who's proven that
Yeah.
they can do this. Look what the Raiders did. They went out and hired Mike Mayock, and the guy's doing tremendous things there. So,
Well, yeah, they got that beautiful stadium because of him. So
here's another one. I'd be okay with Vic as the defensive coordinator if we had a new coach, and I would too. I think Vic is a great defensive coordinator. He's not a head coach. He's shown that through mismanagement of games, throughout the season.
Yep.
It's sort of like last week when I was talking, and I still haven't got a clear answer on this. It was 4th and short for the Raiders. They went for it. Looked like we stopped them. Looked like the guy was short. And then there's a holding penalty. Now, you think you would just decline that penalty and take the ball over on downs right there.
Right.
No, but Vic Fangio accepts the penalty and they punt it and pin us deep.
Yep.
So just another one. Here's another. Denver fans will or become the new old Saints fans of the 80s and 90s with the bags on their heads. And it is embarrassing right now.
It is.
I mean,
even in I've noticed in the last couple of years, just the fan base itself is it's just not the same. I've been a huge Denver Broncos fan since I was real little. Ever since I really knew what football was about, and I've grown up with people who love football, and I see them not love football anymore because the Broncos aren't good, and that's the only team they support. So it's just it's like you said, embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
right. I love this comment. I've given up hope on Drew Lock. I know he hasn't had the best help, but I'm going to tired of making excuses for him. He's not a franchise QB. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he balls out starting now, but I don't think he will. And I agree with you 100%, Ricky. And I was a huge one. You remember 2 years ago, Alex, I sat there and said before the draft, the Broncos have to draft Drew Lock, Unfortunately,
I told you at that time that I wasn't completely sold on the guy. So I've come around since then. I thought he was.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead
I
and
was
finish.
just gonna say I thought he was. I thought he was spectacular in college. I just didn't think that his talent would transfer over to the NFL like we've talked before. And then even early last year when he made his little run at the end of the season, I thought he was going to be a good quarterback for us. Even coming into the season, I thought he was going to be the reason that the way we turned this franchise around.
I did too, and I did as well. He won 4 or 5 games last year. The only one he looked bad in was that snow game in Kansas City, but Kansas City can make anybody look bad. I'm tired of the excuses for Locke as well because, yes, we have injuries. Yes, we have offensive line problems. You know what? But Locke is the one who's making the decisions, throw the ball into double and triple coverage. Locke is the one who's making the decision to lock onto his deep targets and not get off them and hit his checkdowns. Locke is the one who can't figure out that, hey, I got a hot route coming because I have pressure coming from somewhere. The guy struggles with pre-snap reads. He makes bad decisions. His footwork mechanics are horrible.
Well, and we all heard him this week in his interview with the media and how they asked him what it's like throwing the ball back in the pocket averagely, like what it's like normally back there. And he said half the time when he releases the ball, he says, "Oh no. Oh no."
Right.
If you're saying, "Oh no," and you're saying that half the time,
right.
Man, we can't help you. No one can help you at that point. You've got to put it upon yourself to do better than that. You just got to be better. So
I agree. So here's a good. This is a great comment based on how he finished last season with Rich. Maybe we should have kept Rich Scangarella. I agree. The offense,
too.
I think the offense was starting. I think the offense was starting to gel, you know, and he was a scapegoat for some reason, and maybe him and Fangio just didn't see eye to eye, you know. Sometimes that happens, you know. But I think the offense was honestly turning the corner, and then you go and fire him, you hire Shermer, and then you run into the situation where you have no OTAs, you know, and yeah, it is hard. Here's another one. Cut 3 some slack. Bulls got 5 years. That's my QB. And this guy says that because he bought a Drew Lock jersey. First Bronco jersey he ever bought, you know.
Do I know who this is again?
Of course you do. We all know who it is. But and I understand his point right here. But man, we need to see some slight improvement from the guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Bulls got 5 years at the left tackle position. You want us to give him 5 years at a quarterback position when he can't even throw more than 10 touchdowns?
Right.
So,
and I have not fully given up on Locke. We got 7 games left this year. If Locke can come out and show consistent progression these last 7 games, you know, then yeah, I say give him one more year to try it. You know, with the QB, I don't think people are as patient as they are with, you know, an offensive tackle. You know,
well, and it's like that previous comment said, the carousel's got to stop it sometimes. So
it does. The carousel does have to stop sooner or later. So, all right, we're almost done for the show. Let's get into our predictions. I will. Let's take this one really quick. Trevor Siemian was way better. That's facts. And I like Trevor Siemian. I thought Trevor Siemian was a very productive quarterback. He wasn't going to be, you know, some Patrick Mahomes type guy, but he could go out there and play a solid football game, you know,
and sometimes even get you a win, like
right.
he did in New England.
Right. So, but let's get to our predictions. I'm going to give the floor to you first, and I'll finish. I'll take it home today. So,
okay. All right. So, the first thing I want to touch on with the prediction, I know that we just talked about being negative and all that stuff, but I also have to be a realist. I'm going to go with Miami 20, Broncos 17. I think the Broncos play a close one here in Denver. But at the end of the day, Tua just gives them that extra spark while we're down on our luck, or down on our luck, I guess I should say. But, you know, I just think that at the end of the day, Miami pulls it out, and we are sitting at a 3-7 record. So.
All right. So Alex is going with the Dolphins 20-17. So I got a few keys. We have to be able to run the ball. We have not proven that we can do that consistently. Locke has to be able to get the ball out of his hands. Locke hasn't proven he can do that consistently. We got a lot of problems on this offense that we need to do. Locke holds the ball long. Ricky made a comment earlier. Locke does not help his offensive line. No, he doesn't. You know, Locke holds the ball sometimes longer than he really needs to. Also, Locke bails out of the pocket a little earlier than he should. So, I see that this Miami front seven confusing Locke horribly. I see them putting a lot of pressure on him. I see some mistakes from Locke. I think this is going to be a very, very ugly football game. I am going to go with the Miami Dolphins 23, the Denver Broncos 13. So I don't think it's going to be close. I think Denver's going to get a score maybe at the end of the game, you know, to sort of bring it back. But I think Miami's going to dominate this game. I think Tua is going to give our line fits. They have Ahmad on that's running the ball great. You know, with Purcell and Shelby Harris out, our run game is just, you know, gone downhill. So I just don't see us stopping this thing at all. So,
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think that we have an answer for Tua. I think he comes out with a huge spark. I'm going to give you a stat line for him, and I think it's going to look something like, I would guess he's going to throw the ball 35 times a game this game. And that's most. I would imagine he's probably going to sit around 25, which, just like Drew Lock, is where he should be. I imagine that they're going to run the ball a lot, and it's going to struggle with, like you said, with Shelby Harris being out, Purcell being out. There's just going to, unless we can have some of these younger guys step up and do what they can to help this football team, I don't think it's a pretty day for Drew Lock and the Denver Broncos.
no, I agree 100%. So, everybody remember, we'll have a halftime show, be a brief, probably 12 to 15-minute halftime show. And then 6:30 tonight, we will have a post-game show. So come join us, hopefully we're wrong, and it won't be a halftime show like my halftime show was last week, or my pregame show or postgame show will not be like it was last week. But Alex, hey, again, it's great doing the show with you. I love doing it with you. So,
yep, that's the highlight of my week. I look forward to this every Sunday, 9 a.m. every Sunday. It just gets me pumped. I love talking Denver Broncos, even though we're down on our luck, like I said before. It's just great being here with you, talking, interacting with all these fans, and just seeing what everyone thinks of these Denver Broncos. So.
Yeah, it definitely is. Hey, people, come join us, shoot us questions, make this more interactive. Ricky has been great today. So we're going to go out on Ricky's prediction. He says if Lindsey gets at least 15 carries, he predicts it. And I'm thinking Denver 1917 Denver. But he says since he knows that won't happen, Miami wins 27-14. So, hey, everybody, enjoy the game. We'll see you at halftime. This is David.
And I'm Alex.
And this Slade Sports Squad, and we will talk to you later.
Later, guys.